I didn't even want to watch The Long Walk, but my girlfriend wanted to watch it, so I watched it, and because I had to watch it, we're talking about this shit movie, and guaranteed there's going to be a rant coming, so you've been forewarned. Now, for those of you who are lucky enough or smart enough to have not seen this movie, or you haven't seen the trailer, a quick summary of this movie is the United States went through some kind of civil war. They're now in a dystopian future. And to help motivate people to, get back on their feet and raise the GDP, they come up with this event called the Long Walk that's going to help motivate the nation to get on its feet. How does anybody in the nation even know that this event even takes place, since they can't watch it because I doubt anybody has a television? Everybody's poor. It's a dystopian future. How are they even being updated on this event? How do they even know? How are they, let's say this event is taking place in New York. How is the entire western side of the country even going to know about it? It's not like it's being televised. It's no television. There's no television. There's no radio announcing. The whole premise of this event is to motivate the country to increase its GDP, yet the majority of the country has absolutely no knowledge or understanding that this event even takes place. Guaranteed that there are large portions of the country that doesn't even know the event is taking place. But apparently this is supposed to motivate the country. Whatever. Also, this event is supposed to motivate the country as opposed to, starving and wanting to get work, to get money so that you don't die of starvation. Apparently, being hungry and desperate for work, that isn't going to motivate somebody to want to get a job and work harder and try and stay alive. No. Being hungry and starving, that isn't a great motivation. But a long walk race event, that's what's going to motivate the country. The whole premise is so brain dead stupid. So anyway, we got this event. It's called The Long Walk. Now, there's a bunch of rules, but apparently the movie doesn't want to bother wasting our time explaining the rules because, again, it's really irrelevant. But there's one main rule, and that is you have to keep walking. If you stop walking, you're out. And when I say you're out, it's not that you're out of the event. It's you're killed. If you're out of the again, if you stop walking, you fall down, or whatever, or you got 3 warnings, blah, blah, blah. After your 3rd warning of 10 seconds, they shoot you. Now, here's the thing. Why? Why do you have to get killed if you can no longer participate in the event? The movie goes out of its way to come up with a bullshit, stupid, even though it's a non-existent reason, the movie still tries to come up with a bullshit reason for the event. Well, what's your bullshit reason why the participants have to get shot if they fail the event? None. Doesn't have one. Because if you actually get rid of having to be shot, you solve a big problem with this event. Because it's not like imagine if you're there are characters in this event that are participating in the event where they go, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't handle it. I can't hack it. You got somebody who has a leg broken. You have somebody who has a cramp. You have somebody that, okay, fine. They can no longer participate in the event. You're out. Go home. Try again next year. You do that, you don't have people trying. You have people who would be lining up. you would have people lining up to try to partake in this event. There's literally no reason. There is zero reason for anybody who fails the event to have to get shot. Because if you take away that you have to get shot, nobody's going to try to escape. Nobody's going to try to escape. And you're not going to view the government as this tyrannical, government. You're going to view the government as this loving, giving government that's willing to let you partake in this event, and you get this prize money at the end. I don't care. In the movie, it's like this undisclosed amount. Bullshit. Have it at the event. You win the event, you win $1,000 or $10,000. That would be it. The motivation to participate in the event and win the event is to get $10,000. And everybody would be looking at the government going, oh my God, look how benevolent and great the government is. They're just giving away $10,000 if you just participate in this event. And if you can't make the event, oh well, go home, try again next year. But no, that would work. That would make sense. Instead, it's a dystopian or fascist, corrupt government that is going to shoot you if you can't if you fail the event. I mean, if the point of the long walk is to motivate the country to get a higher GDP, then literally change how you participate in the long walk. Have it that it's not just anybody. It's that, hey, if you work so many hours, if you produce so much productivity, you get a certain amount of points. And once you get 100 points of hardworking, of high productivity, then anybody that gets, whoever gets the top 50 people in the country, or the top 100 people in the country, or the top 200 people in the country with the highest productivity or the most amount of points, you get to participate in the long walk. You get a chance at winning an undisclosed amount of money. That'll motivate the country to get off their ass. You want to motivate the country to actually increase their GDP, increase their productivity? Have it that the entire nation is willing to bust their ass working so that they can get enough points to be able to participate in the long walk, to be able to get a chance to win an undisclosed amount of money and get a wish. That's how the long walk will actually motivate the country. I mean, instead of having it that there's one winner and an undisclosed amount of money, have it that the last person standing wins $1 million or $5 million. The second last person standing wins $100,000. The third last person standing wins, $10,000. And everybody else gets $1,000 just for having produced enough points of productivity to be able to participate in the event. And then let's say you crap out and you get disqualified. That's okay. Go back and start working again, because after the race, everybody's points goes back to zero, and all of you can just start working your ass off again to try to get enough points to be able to participate in the event again next year. Hell, forget next year. Have it that it's once a month. If you want to have the long walk be the motivation to get the country going, have it that once a month you participate in the long walk. If you're disqualified, you don't die. You don't die. You just get to participate again, and you do that monthly. And instead of a grand prize being an undisclosed amount of money, have it that it's 100,000 or $1 million. That's going to cost. I think $12 million a year is going to be a little bit less than an undisclosed amount. But no. Let's not do that. That would actually make sense. That would actually have a value to the long walk. Instead, let's have it that we're going to randomly pick a bunch of young men, and if you crop out during the event, we're going to shoot your ass. But again, I can keep going, but there's a lot more stupid to cover. This is a really weird movie because this was a movie where the more I was watching the movie, the more I was hating on this movie. Because here's the thing. This premise could have worked. During the entire time of The Long Walk, you see maybe a dozen people. The Long Walk takes place over 5 days. I will get to that because that's a brain dead bullshit stupid I have to talk about. But over a 5-day period, we're shown maybe a dozen people watching these guys walk. And all of them, well, except for the mother and that one little girl, they're all like, they're all deadpan. They don't give a shit. The people who are walking, well, the people who are, like, there's a couple, like, there was, I think, a family or whatever, who were just sitting around a table, just watching them walk. Nobody's being motivated by this long walk, you dumbass movie. If this movie was trying to establish that the long walk actually motivates the country, what the movie should have done is had the participants, doing the long walk along and be beside a field where there were workers on the field. And before the participants, walked by, the people on the field were just kind of like, this is stupid. I don't like this. This is boring. I hate this work. And they're all sluggish and they're not interested in the work. But then somebody goes, hey, look, it's the long walk participants. And they see the people and they see the participants of the long walk go by. And then all of a sudden they go, yeah, that's it. Show us America #1. We can do it. And then the people working in the field suddenly get off their ass and they're, doing what they're doing, and they're suddenly working harder and they're being motivated to work harder. That would have been showing that the long walk is actually motivating the country to get off its ass and do better. But if the movie did that, that would make sense. That would actually work. That would actually support the premise of the movie. Instead, the movie has it that nobody gives a shit. Seeing them, nobody actually cares enough to even watch the long walk. And the dozen or so people that actually do see the people participating in the long walk isn't actually motivating them to do anything anyway. So the movie literally goes out of its way to establish that the thing that the long walk is for doesn't actually do what it's supposed to be for in the goddamn first place. But I got to cover about how, oh my God, I have to talk about how the long walk takes place over 5 days. Okay. One of the main rule of the long walk is you can't stop walking. Meaning that the participants of the long walk walked for 5 straight days without sleep. You don't get to stop and sleep. You have to keep walking. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, check out the trailer and check out the young men who are participating in this event. Check out the main character and tell me that any of them are going to be able to walk 3 straight days without sleep. It's not going to happen. One of the things about this movie was that the more I watched this movie, the more I hated this movie. Because as the movie goes on, you go 2nd day, 3rd day, 4th day, 5th day. And every time I see the increase in days, I'm going, bullshit. Because the movie doesn't even incorporate the fact, like, the event didn't even have to take place over a 5-day period. The event could have taken place over a 20-hour period. And you still would, and the same thing would have happened. The fact that it was taking place over 5 days as opposed to over 20 hours had no relevance, because the majority of the people who are participating in this event, right, wouldn't have survived 10 hours. Wouldn't have survived walking nonstop for 10 hours. Going up that hill, half of them would have died. The main character should have died, but whatever. But the thing is, if the movie had established that they were walking for 2 days or 3 days, then you could have incorporated the effects of sleep deprivation, where they're hallucinating, or after 2 straight days of walking, you got some of these guys just walking like a zombie, where they're like totally zoned out and they're just walking off of muscle memory. And if you did that, you would have it that they were suffering from exhaustion, and that they would end up kind of wandering off to the side of the road, and then they would be disqualified and they'd be shot. If the movie incorporated sleep deprivation as part of surviving the long walk, that would have been even a better element to the stamina and motivation of the participants. But they'll have scenes where you'll see the participants, especially the main character, right, where he's literally like, he's sweating, he can't even breathe, he can barely walk, and he's just dying. And then the scene cuts, goes to the next scene, right, and the main character is just walking like he's like, oh, hi, how you doing? Oh, wow, isn't this a beautiful day? It's like, wait a minute. The last time we saw him, the guy could barely fucking walk, and then you cut the scene, and then all of a sudden, you're having it that as if the main character or the participants just slept for 10 hours, had a shower, had a good meal, and went, okay, you know what, let's go back to the walk. This movie literally refreshes the participants with jump cuts. Just cut the scene, no matter how tired, no matter how exhausted. The fact that it's been 2 days and they can barely walk, that's okay. Cut the scene, started a new scene. Everybody's walking like they have freshly. After 2 days, after 1 day of solid walking, these guys wouldn't have been able to crouch to go to the bathroom. Okay? Imagine walking for 2 straight days and then having to stop, crouch, and relieve yourself. Trying to get back up would have been impossible, because they would have been so tired, so gone, so worn out, that just by crouching, they would have tipped over and they wouldn't have been able to get up. Now, if the movie had incorporated that would have been an element of the long walk. That would have been great. That it's not just that you have to keep walking, it's that you have to be able to stay awake. That the walking part, if the event is taking place over 5 days, the walking part is just a small portion of the challenge you have to overcome. The main obstacle and the main portion of the challenge of the long walk is being able to stay awake. No, can't incorporate that, because we have to have it, because the problem is, if you actually incorporate the fact that they've been walking for 2 days straight, they'd all be zoned out and nobody would be talking to each other. Because the whole point of this movie is it's a character study. So you have to have the participants actually talking. So if they're talking, you can't actually have them be zoned out, because then you can't have them talking. Then fine. Don't have it take place over 5 days. Have it take place over a 20 or 24-hour period, and the exact same things would happen. There are ways to make the premise of this movie work, except this movie was going, screw that. That would make sense. That would actually have relevance to what the premise of this movie is. screw it. We're going to have it that it takes place. We're going to have it that the main character, who's this out of shape, overweight schlub, who shouldn't have been able to survive 50 miles, is somehow able to walk 5 days. So there's nothing in this movie that actually tries to get it so that the audience even takes the movie seriously. Now, I'm sure there's a lot more brain dead stupid I could call out about this movie. The thing is, I pretty much zoned out and I stopped giving a shit. That's the truth. The things that I pointed out in this video was just the things that I could remember. And pretty much before I zoned out and stopped really giving a damn. I remember the ending being a little anticlimactic, but at the same time, I also didn't give a shit. The only thing I cared about in regards to the ending was that, thank God, this movie's over. We can leave. But yeah, rant over. Got out of my system. I'm good. Just this was enough. This was a shit movie. And again, it's not just that it was a shit movie. It's that there were things that this movie could have done to actually make it an interesting story, an interesting premise. It's just that the movie went, yeah, no, then we can't have the bullshit story we want, and we can't shoehorn the bullshit stupid so that we can do the story we want. So we're just going to have it be, ridiculously full of brain dead stupid and whatever. Anyway, got that out of my system. I'm good. I can now move on to the next brain dead stupid movie my girlfriend made me want to watch. But that's another video for another time. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm done. I'm good. I'm out of here. See ya.